Good morning, class. How's everyone doing today? Let's try this again. How's everyone doing today? Okay, great. So, before we get started today, I want to ask everyone for a quick favor. I would like every one of you in your tables to clear your desks. I want you to take out a sheet of paper and your notebooks and some pencils or something to write with. And erasers, don't forget. Now, as you guys are clearing your desks and getting ready to write, I would like you to jot down the name and the date of you. And today, I want to talk to you guys for a few minutes about a personal story of mine. Actually, it's something that happened over the weekend, which I think you guys would get a kick out of. A couple of days ago, I went to a place in Fort Lauderdale, and I went to this first ever Korean restaurant, which was held in a 40-story building. Now, here's the real part of the story. I went to the table, and I sat down. So at this point, I look around for the waiter. Nothing happened, right? I wait for a good few minutes. And finally, there's a man here to wait on us. But the way he looked at us was funny, because this is a very short man, and he looked like a bowling ball. His weight was so heavy that he looked like he's just about ready to crash into somebody. Now, as you guys are listening in on the story, you notice how I use the word wait a lot? In more than one way. Sorry, pun intended. Point being that I used wait in two ways. You guys, who can tell me where did they see wait the first time? Please bear with me, my generator is awfully noisy lately. That's right. Wait was used for the first time to wait for somebody, like we normally do. Kind of like how you're waiting for me to finish up this lecture already. Moving forward, there's wait, as in the waiter's weight. He was very fat. He was like a bowling ball. He was heavy. What you guys noticed right now was how I managed to use a homophone. Can you guys say homophone? Homophone. Now, once more with feeling from the right side of the class. And once more with feeling from the left. Excellent. Now, whoop. Give me a wee moment, guys. Sorry, email from my boss. Okay, so, moving swiftly forward, let's think of a few more homophones. When you guys think of homophones, what are the first things that come to mind? Okay, you think it's a form of telephone. I'll accept that joke. What are some other ways? How about this besides? A homophone, you guys better write this down, this is going to be in the exam. A homophone is basically two words that sound the same, but can be spelled differently. Kind of like what you saw with wait. But you're probably wondering, are there more examples? Well, I'll show you. Observe. Sometimes we use homophones a little more often than we realize. Take, for example, words like past or past. Can you guys see the difference? They're spelled differently, right? But they sound the same. Now let's look at the word past. One word, past, P-A-S-T, is like a point in time. Like we did it ago, or we did it yesterday, or we did it a few years ago, or we did it a month ago, or a few seconds ago. Again, I don't want to keep tab of the clock. But then we also talk about past, like P-A-S-S-E-D, kind of like what you see here. This one, in this case, would mean that you passed by, or you walked onwards, and didn't even recognize. Understandably, they are sounding the same, and people use them interchangeably, but they do not mean the same thing, even if they sound the same. So one more time, just because it sounds the same, that doesn't mean it means the same. Are we clear? One more time, just because it sounds the same, that doesn't mean it means the same. One more time from the top, from the back. And from the right side of class. And from the left. Okay, perfect. So you see, guys, words can mean many things. Sometimes a word will have more than one definition or meaning. But by far, you can always tell just by the spelling if it's the same. Now, let's think of a few more examples. There's, what do we got here? We got apart, Let's see. Through and through. Yeah, we knew that one. We had a feeling it was going to come into play. But let's look this down for a second. If we look at the word through, T-H-R-E-W, you could tell that it means what? To throw something, or you threw something already. He did so, he threw a ball recently, or threw in this case. And then there's, on the other hand, through, such as when you're through something, like you went through a tunnel, or you went through a lesson, you went through a play, you went through a movie, you went through a town. When you use two words like those interchangeably, you can tell right away that they can kind of throw people off. And it's common. But it's not grammatically okay to use either one in place of something if you intend to mean something. For instance, if I use the word through when I want to say, he went through town a few days ago, surely you're not going to use the verb, because the verb here would mean an action. The verb here would mean that you threw something rather than passed through. So, if you wanted to say you went through town, you're not using a verb, but what? An adjective. Right? Oh. Anyway, we're going to go through a few more examples. So just to make sure we all get a good idea as to how homophones work. So, I'm sorry, what was that? Okay, you can think of another one? Like what? Okay. So and so. Okay, not bad. Let's use that example from the fellow student over there in the glasses. So and so. When you think of the word so, you think of it like at the beginning of a sentence. The word S-O. Like so, or so he went that way, or so what? Whereas the word so, S-E-W, would mean to do what? To stitch together. Or the verb to put together through threading or needles, or, basically putting it together by weaving. Right? So, let's try this out and use the fellow students over there as example with what we just talked about. Let's say we put a sentence like, he went through the building. So, he left early. Who could tell me which form of so did I use in this sentence based on the context? Anyone? Volunteers? Okay, can I be heard from the back? Just making sure you guys are still not forgotten about. Okay, so, unintended. The word here we're going to use is S-O. Why? Look at what the sentence again. The guy passed through the building, so he went earlier. Did you catch the context? S-O would mean not a verb, but the adverb. Kind of like a linking part between two sentences, So, just to make sure we get this point further heard, let's try it another way. Rebecca tried to sew the sweater quickly. Which of the words do you think had sew based on the context? Well, if you look carefully at the sentence, Rebecca sewed the quilt and the sweater quickly, you'll notice that she's not talking about the adverb, but what? The verb, right? To sew. That means that she's stitching, she's quilting, she's needling, she's putting it together by threads. What you're looking at is how the context of a sentence can always be a firm indicator as to how a word is used, and more importantly, how we can not confuse each other with how the words are spelled with their meanings. We're going to go over a few more examples because we're going to practice a bit. Let's look at here over at lead and lead. Now, lead in this case is what form? Is it past, present, or future? L-E-D. Oh. That's right. Past tense. Why? What was the present tense? Lead. Correct. Now, the other word, lead. Who can tell me why is that different than the first word we talked about? I will wait. Don't be shy. Okay. Lead, the material, like the lead you find in pencils, or the lead you find in buildings, or like a simple car or something. Again, it's a metal, right? So just to make sure we all got this under wraps, let's try 2 more examples. Lead. Tony led his team to victory. Let's look at the sentence one more time, and I'm going to pick a volunteer in the next 5 or 10 seconds after the sentence to figure out which of the words I used. Tony led the team to victory. I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I'm a little deaf in my left ear. Can you please say it a little louder? That's right. L-E-D. Why? Because he led, or he went to lead his team to victory in the past tense. Very good. Now, another sentence would be, Superman is invulnerable to lead. One more time. Superman is invulnerable to lead. Which of the following words, based on the context, is lead used? That's right. L-E-A-D. Why? Because lead, in this case, would not mean to lead, but the material. So we're describing not a verb, not an adjective, but a noun. Right? And just to recap, a noun can mean what? A person, a place, a thing, or an idea. This is going to be in the test, so I want everyone jotting this down. Okay? We're still going to go over a few more homophones, and then we're going to get down to some real nitty-gritty assignments. Are we clear? So far, are there any questions? Are there any concerns? Something we don't understand? Anyone? Okay. Oh. Yes. I will resolve that with you after the lesson. And once we begin the assignments, you may tell me exactly how you will want that done. I will have you seated if need be for help. Okay, so let's go over a few more examples, and then we're going to get down to an assignment. Now, principle and principle. Today we're really going to ramp up things. The word principle we first see on the left is spelled P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L. When you look at that word, is it a noun, is it a verb, or an adjective? That's right, it's a noun. Why? A person, correct. Whereas a principle, P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. Got you guys for a curveball, didn't I? L-E. If it's not a person or a place or a thing, it's what? An idea. Love that response from the back. Moving swiftly forward, let's try to make sure that we understand the context behind both nouns. So, let's use these sentences and we're going to figure out where is where. The principal announced the date of the pizza party over the speaker. One more time. The principal announced the date of the pizza party over the speaker. Who can tell me? Is it principal 1 or is it principal 2? You there. Principal 1? Why? Because we're referring to the person, right? Indeed. Now, to understand what a principal, like principal 2 is, otherwise known as principal spelled with an L-E, we're going to write down this definition. A principal is, you guys are going to want to jot this down, this will be worth extra credit on the quiz. A principle is an idea or a standard for a support of a subject or concept. Now, as we're too busy writing that down, let's use that in a sentence. Oh, brother. Generators. What are you going to do about it? Oh. Super for a second. Yes. Okay. I will assure you that I will give you an enhanced screen reader if need be. Let me know if you need to move up seat to the class so that way you can see it clearer, okay? Now, let's use this sentence just to get an idea as to principle 2 words. Principle. Our principles as students are to be honest and hard workers and learners. One more time. Our principles as students are to be hard and honest workers and learners. Did anyone catch the context? Anyone see where principle 1 or 2 were? You there, to the left. That's right. And why is it principle 2? Because it uses an idea, not a person, place, or thing. Hot doggy, I gotta give you guys credit. You guys are doing amazing. So, ready to do 2 more examples and then we'll get down to the assignments? Okay. Now, let's see. I spy with my little eye something that is, beginning with a T. Like then and then. Now, I promised you guys this is going to be the last 2 examples and then we're going to get down to work. I kind of had a build-up for this in mind, so bear with me. Now, when you look at the words then and then, what are 2 ways that we spell it? What are 2 vowels? Do we use it with an A? What about an E? Good. What about an I, an O, or U? Or what about a Y? Whatever vowels you had in your mind, the traditional ways to spell then are T-H-A-N, and then there's then, T-H-E-N. So, I'm going to give you 2 more sentences, and we're going to figure out which one was used. Then, my dog was faster than Bennett's dog. One more time. My dog was faster than Bennett's dog. Who could tell me which then? Was it then with an A or then with an E? Did you say then with an A? If you did, that is correct. Why? Because this then is talking about comparing my dog to Bennett's. And why are we comparing it to? What are we comparing it why? Because it's faster than Bennett's dog. That's why. Correct. Now, let me use 1 more sentence and, hold on, got an email coming up. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Emails. What can I say? They come up at the most wrong of moments. Back to business. Let's use 1 more sentence, 2, to tell apart the difference between then and then. Now, 1 more sentence, and then we're going to have a little recap, questions, and then we'll get down to the assignment. Then, the monster jumped out from behind the bushes. 1 more time. Then, the monster jumped out from behind the bushes. What can you guys tell me about the then used here? Is it the same one as before, or is it a different one? The one with an E? Very good. Very good. Why? What makes this different from the first then we used? Did you say it's because it's used at the beginning? Very good. Why is it used at the beginning? I'm sorry, what? Okay. Very good. Because it's used to kick off a sentence. Kind of like a subject and a predicate. Only instead of the subject, it's like a prefix for a suffix, prefix for a subject, if you will. So, then in this case, since it's used in the beginning, will be spelled with an E. But then, when it's in the middle of something, when you're comparing it to somebody or something or someplace, it's always going to be spelled with an A. So, rule of thumb, then and then are different by the vowels. Jot that down. Then with an A means you're comparing. Then with an E means that you're beginning. Are we understood? Swell. So, here's what we're going to do right now. I want everybody to look over your notes for the next 5 minutes, and if you haven't finished writing them up, I want you to look over your neighbor, make sure you're not missing anything. The only other thing I do want to talk about would be, I'm going to get started on handing out an assignment. Aside from your exit slips and your journal entries, I want you guys to turn that in by the end of the period before lunch. More importantly, you have any questions or concerns, now's the time. Yes? Guys, one more time from the top. We'll get to use the bathroom in a little while, just hang tight. Now, what is the rule of homophones that we keep in mind? Anybody? Just because they sound the same doesn't mean they're spelled the same. Or they mean the same. Just because they sound the same doesn't mean that they mean or are spelled the same. One more time. Just because they are spelled... okay. Just because they are sounded the same, that doesn't mean that they are spelled or mean the same. Okay? Now, rest assured, I will give you the screen magnification up close. Don't worry, I'll have this up for everybody that you can get some notes, okay? Okay, great. So, I'm going to get started on the assignments. Please go to my desk for a copy of the packet that I'm about to give. And let's get cracking, guys.